this is one of my favourite walls in this restaurant, or in fact anywhere. And I'd never seen a wall like this, which is the major figures of Indian independence movement, you know, the men and women. And actually, for me, heroes, and my favourite figures. And I grew up reading about these stories, and I think, Shalina, you'll know much more about the detailed history of many of these people than I will, but maybe you could talk a bit about the wall and the characters on this wall.
I love this wall. I think one of the reasons I love it is because Gandhi is the person that's associated most with the Indian independence movement. But
he sort of hogged the limelight.
Yeah, but what this wall shows us is that there were so many other people involved in it.
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that I don't think, if the people on this wall were here, they would be arguing with each other.
They'd be shouting at each
other.
other.
They would be,
yeah,
you know.
very different views.
Yeah, if Tagore and Bose were here, right, they would agree that they wanted to get rid of the British, but the way they wanted to do it.
One was a soldier.
Yeah, you know, Tagore handed back his knighthood, you know, after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, whereas Bose, you know, led an army in 1942 to get rid of the British through military means. So we've got really diverse, you know, diverse people on this wall. And you've got Tilak, for example, right at the end.
A towering figure of the late 19th,
Absolutely.
early 20th century.
You know, and Tilak was one of the Gurram nationalists.
Hot.
You know,
Yeah,
he was
direct action.
Favoured direct action. Did understand that social reform was needed. He was a maths teacher, so did favour that. But actually, he believed that politics came before education. You know, he believed that actually we need to be doing more to politicise people in order to take that direct action.
To get freedom, to get the British
absolutely.
out.
And freedom was absolutely what he wanted. And someone that took that direct action to a whole other degree, of course, is Bhagat Singh.
Who has a lovely moustache, very handsome chap.
He does, and Bhagat Singh obviously is still revered today, especially among young people in India, for the actions that he took.
So, I wanted to tell us a bit about Bhagat Singh.
Yeah, so Bhagat Singh was radicalised after 1928, after the Simon Commission, which resulted in the death of one of his heroes, Lala Lajpat Rai, and so he opted for revenge. So Bhagat Singh started off as a writer, like many people on this wall actually, but he was radicalised in 1928 and decided, do you know what, I'm going to put the pen down and I'm just going to take a direct action.
They're trying to kill the policeman that killed Lala Lajpat Rai.
Absolutely, so it's a story of revenge gone wrong.
But he got the wrong man.
Yes,
he got
exactly.
Scott instead of Sanders.
Yeah, absolutely. So he ends up in prison. He goes on hunger strike for 116 days. So it shows us that he's still so determined to fight back against the British. But unfortunately, he's executed at the age of 24.
Goes to the gallows, defiant.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the words on his lips are "Inqilab Zindabad."
Yeah.
Long live the revolution.
Yeah,
and he's
absolutely.
literally reading Lenin before his death.
You know, he is one of many incredible people on this wall that tell the story of Indian independence.
I really love this wall, and for me it was an opportunity to put up some extraordinary aggressive graffiti. And this was an original piece of graffiti which I found in archives, which was a protest against the Simon Commission. But what I love about the graffiti is how strident it is. So it's, you know, it starts quiet. Indian uninvited guests. Simon, go back. And this was obviously an independence protest, and you know, I'd love to hear from you on that in a second. But I just love that it's just, please go already, leave our country.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of strident, and you were incendiary. I think if you'd have thrown that up in 1928, you would have been, you know, arrested or shot. I mean, maybe, Shalina, could you tell us a bit about the context of that wall?
I mean, it's an incredibly radical statement, which I think many people dining in front of it would not realise.
Eating their pav bhaji, yes.
Absolutely. So let's start off with, who the hell is Simon?
Who's Simon? Yeah, we can start with that.
So Simon is Lord Simon of the Simon Commission. So the Simon Commission were in India in 1928, but they were meant to be in India a year later, actually.
In 29.
In 1929, but the Conservative government decided that they might not be in power in 1929.
To Stanley Baldwin.
Yeah, so they decided, you know what, let's go a year early. So to give you context, the aim of the Simon Commission was set out 10 years before. So in 1919, the British government said, we'll be back in 10 years, we'll figure out what reforms are needed in India. So here they are. in 1928, and they're on a fact-finding...
7 British men, isn't it, to be clear?
So that's
There's
the
no
first
Indians.
thing. Yeah, first of all, people are shouting Simon, go back, because they're wondering, why on earth are you coming to India without speaking to any Indians about what reforms are needed? So it was boycotted. There were meetings that were set up, boycotted by the Muslim League, Indian National Congress, and the people went out onto the streets. Every city the Simon Commission went to.
In protest.
Yeah.
Go back, Simon.
There's men and women holding placards saying Simon, go back, shouting that as well. And at Lahore station, the Simon Commission get there, they arrive, and they can't get out of the station because there's so many protesters. And there's a Luthi charge. Lala Lajpat Rai, the nationalist leader, is killed because of the injuries that he sustained.
They stove his head in, they literally beat him up, bang him on the head with a stick, and he dies.
And that's why Bhagat Singh, seeks the revenge that he does. And the Simon Commission, it catapults Nehru particularly into a leadership position, and it makes the Congress, for example, realise we want nothing less now than full independence. So Purna Swaraj, full independence, not self-rule, self-government. We want full independence now, because what the Simon Commission has showed us is actually the British government are not interested in what we want.
So it's a radicalisation as well, like a stronger position.
Exactly. So those words, Simon, go back, for me represent this real change for nationalism. And it's a really important part of the road to Indian independence.